First, I need to select all the images with bridges. That one looks like one, that one, that one, that one. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think I got everything set up. Sorry, I'm 3 minutes late. I forgot I didn't have everything set up for streaming after I redid my OBS. Okay, so we got this, and we're good to go. So one thing I always forget I have is a Discord, and people put some stuff on my Discord for me to check out, and I'm always happy to do that. I just always forget. Oh, wait a minute. Chat application can't find any supported channels enabled. Full list of supported platforms here. Dashboard. Okay, hold on just a second. Let me go to settings. Give me a minute. So at least I can field questions here. And Slack. Whoops. Okay, so this, and then this, it just got updated. Restream. Login. Wait for it. Can't find any supported channels enabled. Ugh. I don't want to be on my restream. I want to be on ZBrush's restream. Alright, hold on. Let me see if I can log out. Man, I am... Log out. Thank you. This might fix it. Well, this is going to be a really exciting... I mean, I guess I can just go and look at this chats. Okay, online. You know, I'm sure I'll add that. Okay. Now, log me in here. You silly program. Okay. Come on. Fingers crossed. So anyway, I do have a Discord channel. It's not okay. So like, social alerts. Okay, just give me chat through here. That's fine. Or do I have to? Do a new I mean, I did just upgrade it this morning. So let's just install it from here with this login. Maybe that'll... There we go. Okay, I just needed to install. Okay, we're good. Like I said before, got a Discord channel, and I got some stuff dropped on there so I can go ahead and we can check some stuff out, because really I have no agenda today. I've been doing some cleanup, getting some stuff together for some, you know, that Terminator head. I've got those videos coming out soon, so let's just have a little bit of fun this morning. So we've got Sharky here. We've got a folder. If you guys are new to folders, folders are pretty awesome in ZBrush. So for example, I can hit W and I go to move multiple, and a quick and easy way to do folders is hold down Control Shift, and when you're doing move multiple, you can go through here and it's like, okay, I want to move. You can just hash everything, and then I can unhash it by control clicking individual components. So if I wanted to just put the teeth into one folder, I can move multiple, that one folder, or if I move multiple, I can hit Control F, and I can say, yes, give me a folder for teeth, and now my teeth are in a folder. So folders, use them. So here's my Sharky, very cute stylized shark. Let me bring up some reference here. And okay, so we got a nice paint on there. I'm going to turn off that Polypaint just so we can evaluate the model while we're going here. It's a very sharp nose. So one thing let me move this down because it's distracting me here. One thing I like to do in my concept and iteration class is just do variants. So let's do a couple different types of shark. So now this is a very kind of a baby shark, let's say, and let's say we want to do a couple different family members here. So what I'm going to do is, one thing you can do, you can go in here and you can copy an entire tool, and then I'm going to go to this Polymesh 3D and I'm going to paste this tool. So I've got an exact duplicate of all the subtools and all the tools in there. And now what I can do is I'm going to go through here, I'm going to turn off that teeth folder and turn off that eye folder. It's just going to give me a little more leeway, and there's even a little tongue in there. And an inside mouth bag, which in this case could be useful, especially if you're going to go do some detailed modeling in here. That could definitely come in handy. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here. I'm going to do a close holes, mirror and weld, hit W, control tap that little inside polygroup here. And let's go ahead, and this is going to be our mouth bag. That's going to catch any sort of light that's inside the object here. And I can also leave it its own polygroup because it might, like I said, it might become in handy later on, and allow us for also masking. So I can go through here, I can do Control Shift X to expand a couple times, maybe 3 times, hit Control W, and now this is all going to be one polygroup that I can select later. If I re-Dynamesh, it should maintain my polygroups, but of course I got to turn Dynamesh on. There we go. So now we've got a little Dynamesh inside the mouth here, so I can even go through here and just hide everything like so. Hey, John Yu, how's it going? That Ninja Steven, thanks for showing up. Green screen with OBS. I can show you that real quick. So basically, here's my infinite mirror OBS, and then I've got my body here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here to filters for my head. Because, like, yeah, there we go. So in here, I have a chroma key set, and I'm going to do similarity until it kind of knocks back so that my oily face doesn't make it go out and disappear. So essentially all it is you go through here, I have a video capture device. Here's my ZBrush Live image. That's my banner down at the bottom, and I can move this wherever I want. And then I have a video capture device, which is my webcam, which is right here. And then around that, my wife got me for Christmas this ring, so I don't look like a zombie. It actually makes me look a little more human. I can actually go through here, check this out. Let me reach. I can go in here to, what is this one? Oh, this is a cycle. So here's warm, here's cool. I guess warm, oh, there's, I think, different degrees. There's neutral, warm, and cool. And then I can crank up the light a bit and make it even brighter and brighter. But of course, the brighter I make it, I guess the more my face turns green, because I have a green/blue screen behind me. Inferno. So I usually just have it at the base, just so it's a little cast there. And it just helps with lighting. Now, if I was a real pro, I would have lighting just on my green screen, so it would light up the green screen behind me, and then I would get a much nicer, cleaner key off of that. But I ain't got time for that. But if I go through here and I go to filters, and like you can see the green screen behind me here, if I turn off chroma key, you're going to see it's just green. On the back of this is blue, so if I ever did want to do a blue screen, which might, I don't know, might be better, because if the oily parts of my face are green, maybe I'd have more luck. I just chose green because it seemed to be brighter, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, that's how you do that. And then display capture is just capturing, and this only captures a little small portion of my screen. So right here, I have a ton of room around that because I got two 34 or 36 inch monitors around that. If you want more information on that setup, although, you know what, now that I think about it, let's see. Workstation. If you go to my workstation video, my new workstation has my upgraded components, but it's my old workstation where I talk about the monitor setup. That's those are my old Samsungs, and I got new Dells. So basically, this is my old house, but that's how I have my setup right now, is those two Dells. So essentially, I have them stacked, and then I just record right in the middle of that top screen there. But for the new workstation, these are the upgraded components and stuff like that. So that'll be the latest and greatest stuff there. Cool. Yeah, so let's see here. So we got our shark here, and we'll just do a couple variants on here. So essentially, we just got to ask ourselves, what kind of story do we want to tell with this character? So here we have like a little baby one, and let's do maybe a little bit more grown-up fat one. I'm just going through and looking at literally shark images, see if there's like, we can try a couple different variations on this one. So if we wanted to do like maybe a big muscular shark, we can go through here and we can do like mask lasso. I'm just going to make some minor changes. So I'm going to mask this out, and you can see I do a control tap on here just to smooth that mask out a little bit, and then hit W, and we can just take this one here and we can basically scale it up and just get a different kind of look. And then if we want to make this a little bit meaner, I can follow these lines down. So essentially I can say, you know what, let's go ahead and just clip this here, and I still want to maintain, and let's also go through here and we'll go ahead and fan it out this way. So I'm going to do shift. By default, what I have in my shift key now, I try not to do this at home, but it was getting to be a pain. So you see I have weighted smooth mode set to 1. Traditionally what I do is go in here and just use smooth stronger, but I went ahead and saved over the smooth brush that comes in with ZBrush, and that's just going to be, if you go ZBrush 2020 Z data, Z data brush presets. What you're going to want to do is do a brush presets backup, or Control C, Control V this folder so you don't lose anything. But in here I just replaced this smooth brush with a smooth brush that's weighted mode of 1, so it's always going to be smooth stronger, just because that's what I always end up changing it to. There's no point in me not having that. So we're just going to go through here, and again we can go through and let's do another lasso through here and then blur it out. And there's no real, so now we've got kind of a, let's go ahead and move this back so we can just take this here, and I can pop it off and move it back, but since we're in Dynamesh mode, we can literally just grab these things and just point it along where we want those to go. And this for this lower jaw, I'll go ahead and move this down here. And then for a shark's head, I'm looking at kind of like this one right here. It's going to be a little bit flatter, and again, this shark's going to be a little bit wider. So I'm just going to hold down Alt and then pull Shift and pull this out, and then I'm going to go down here with Trim Dynamic. We can just trim this, kind of flatten that top here, and we can kind of flatten that bottom. We can go in here with H polish if we wanted to, hold down Shift to smooth. And I'm actually going to drop this resolution down. Or one thing I like to do is when I'm making things bigger or smaller and I just want to work at ZBrush's native scale, I'll go in here to Deformation Unify, and that'll just kind of reset it all back to the middle here. So now we got this, and we got some teeth, and we can go ahead and do like a little bit of a meaner brow here. So this is going to go right into that little pointed nose here. And depending on how much you want to anthropomorphize this shark, not that, I mean, sharks have faces and I guess personalities in their own way, but if you want to make them very, very human, you can choose to do that depending on what you're going for. So we're going to go through here, and also let's go ahead and grab our teeth back. So I'm going to take these teeth over here and turn that folder on, and I can also go in here and I can just say transpose set, and this will automatically unhash just these teeth here. I'm going to turn off X, go to unmash mesh center, turn X back on, and then just scale these teeth down, and then maybe put these into place here. There we go. And then turn off move multiple, and now I can just take these and alt tap these and move them into place here. I got a bit of a meaner shark here, and still kind of a small body. So I'm going to go through here. And this might be a fun one as well to go through and like ZRemeshed and do a, because you can do a pretty decent Polypaint pass on this. And these little nubbins right here, you can hold down Shift and you can turn on Sculptris Pro. Any sort of that kind of geometry, you can temporarily, I'm going to put those back, but it's easy enough for me just to go through and just start worrying about the volumes first. And then even things like this, I might work on those separately, like the fins, just to kind of easily move them around a little bit better. That might behoove me a little bit. So we got this here, and that kind of the proportions on that original one, you know, you had the big eye right here, and that's okay. This is kind of like a, you know, it'd still be a very cartoony shark, but you can also go through here, and now you can, if you, as soon as you do this, it becomes a little bit more of a, you know, little beady eyes, a little bit meaner. Now we can go through here and we can emphasize that brow ridge a little bit and maybe tuck this in. And again, depending on how much you want to go through and make it humanoid-ish, let's go ahead and raise that resolution on our Dynamesh there. And now we have this. So now we have eyeballs sitting here, but if I just want to put some faster eyeballs in here, I can just go into one of my, you can go to BI brush insert primitives, but I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to use those polarized caps to go through and kind of indicate where those eyeballs might be looking. There we go. And I'm just going to do a split mass points, and then we can again just alt tap through my subtools here, kind of have a little fun. Oh, and my original, I guess I didn't really review it or anything. I like the stylized shark. That was a good one. The only reason I'm doing this is just because I like doing variants. I think variants are fun, and I like my whole concept and ideation course is based around just kind of going through and doing a bunch of different types of sculpts. And once we're done with this one, maybe we can do like a little grandma shark. We'll do a baby shark, grandma shark, grandpa shark. You all know the song. And by the very end, we can have a whole family of sharks. And if you wanted to use these, I'm going to go ahead and turn off perspective. I know it can be blasphemous for some people to not sculpt with perspective on, but I rarely do. I mean, for final tweak stuff, if it needs to, or if it's a likeness I need to match a camera, I will. But if I'm just doing general modeling, I have a pretty good idea of how it's going to look. So, and also sharks don't tend to have a whole lot of chins. In fact, no animals, I don't think, have a tremendous amount of chin. So if you really wanted to like give it a human face, you could put a little chin on there if you wanted to. It's good. You can tap L to turn that off, so you can do more dot type stuff, or you can turn L on and you can put a little button in that chin. Oh, let me go ahead. Hey, no, go see your mom. Go see your mom. Sorry. Didn't think you wanted to hear my wife lift weights in the background. You're not sitting where you work, because I don't see any chair there either. Yeah, what I do when I stream is I generally stand up, but if I'm going to be doing, well, I'll kind of mix. Sometimes when I'm sitting or I'm doing a lot of work at home, I'll just go ahead and just move my, it's a stand-up desk, so go ahead and just lower it down. But while I'm streaming, I'll usually just stand up. That's not a huge deal. But occasionally, I mean, eventually I will get fairly fatigued. And in that case, I have to, okay, we're just going to borrow these teeth. If we wanted to do more teeth, we can actually continue borrowing from this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and separate these out, just make it a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to go through here, I'm going to separate these out, and we're going to say delete hidden. Oh, we have subdivision history. Delete lower, delete hidden. I'm going to raise that resolution on these up, and I'm just going to make them Dynamesh. Why not? Do a quick geometry modify topology mirror and weld, because that's how we like to roll on the Pav Mic workshop. And then now we got through here. In fact, we could, you know what? You know, if I was doing this for real and I had just had to make these teeth, that's probably how I'd go about it, something like that. But I'm going to go ahead. You can actually just drag things out of folders. I don't really need a folder for the teeth. And the folder will just disappear when you're done. And then the bottom one, we'll go ahead and delete that. And we got these teeth here. So now let's say let's do this. Go into polygroups. I'm going to do a quick auto groups to give them all one polygroup, and then temporarily hold down Control Shift and just hide just so I see just one. I'm going to frame this up here, hit B, create insert mesh, new, bring everything back, and I like to do a quick geometry modify topology mirror and weld. I don't know how normal it is to have one tooth down the middle, so I might replace that one here, delete hidden, and then I can hit W, Control Tap, any one of these. That'll go ahead and auto mask it, and now I can go through and I can move these around. So let's go ahead and also let's turn on LSIM. If we have LSIM turned off, it's going to want to scale towards and away from that mid point. But now we can go through here, and you can even go through here and just hold down Control and drag out a copy, and again scale down, have LSIM turned on, and we can go through here and just kind of pop in some new teeth. And another thing we can do, since we made that brush, if we hit B, you're going to see we have a new insert mesh brush. So now we can go through here and we can just start dragging on new teeth. This one might be a little bit difficult, where it's going to be like, well, I can drag it on the side of the head, but maybe I want to drag it along the rim here. And in fact, let's hold down Alt, and we're going to go through here on this sculpt here, and we're going to go into H polish. And we can just give it a nice surface to kind of lay these teeth down. It doesn't have to stay this way. We can always change it. But it might help us when we're inserting these. And the other thing too is I go back to this brush here, and if I go here, it's just going to want to lay them flat. So you can go through here and you can lay them flat. You can even put it along a curve if you really wanted to, but I don't want to lay them flat. I want to have them tilted out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out of edit mode. Let's switch. I can go back here and I can just re-grab it, or let's talk about some more stuff here. I can go into my Z plugin, and we can say, what can we say? We can say IMM extractor. So with the shark brush selected, I can say extract that to subtools, and if you wanted to rename this, side, and then I can go through here and I can grab just this top view here, and I can even rotate this around if I wanted to match that up a little bit. So now it's going to draw out like this. When I pull on the surface, it's going to have this end towards me. So I'm going to hit B, or you know what, this is this. We can duplicate this off, and we're going to capture from this direction. I can rotate this around. So now this tooth will be captured from that direction. So we got two teeth in here. We can go to B. No, hold on. Let's rename this. So we got two now, and then you get B, create insert multi-mesh, and now we have a new shark tooth, side and top. And of course, if you wanted to save this, you go into brush, save as, or you can even select an icon. So you can hold down brush, hold down Alt, say select icon. You know what, let's do this one. Select icon, that's a little bit better. Save as, and then generally speaking, instead of Z data, Z startup, if you want it to always show up, if you're going to be making sharks for the next 6 months and you always want to have those when it starts up, you're going to want to put that into ZBrush 2020 Z startup brush presets. Throw it in there. Or if you're just going to use it not that often, go into ZBrushes and you can just put it in here. I think I have, let's just put it in the creature folder, and we'll call this shark tooth. And now we have a shark tooth brush that whenever we hit the comma key, brushes, creature, got all this, and then we got a shark tooth. We can just double click that, and we're off to the races. So now we have a shark tooth brush here. I'm going to hit M and get the bottom, or you can just go up here and select bottom, and then now when we draw this out, it should behave about what we're expecting. Of course, one thing I'm going to do is go in here to our depth, and this is something you can always save this setting out, and we're going to change that depth to be embedded, maybe that much. Let's try that. Yeah, that's nicer. And then we can, while this is masked, we can go through here. Now, when you have something across the midline, occasionally it'll be kind of sticky together, so you got to kind of watch that. But I think that'll work. And this guy's going to be, he's a little meaner. Let's make him a little gnarlier. He's got some teeth that are kind of, you know, shark teeth can kind of get sort of bent and they start losing their teeth here. We can kind of start breaking that silhouette. Speaking of, let's go in here. We're in ZBrush 2020, of course. So we're going to go into Preferences, and we're going to turn on Thumbnail, turn on Silhouette. So now we can see how well our silhouette's working while we're doing our thing. If you want to know more information about that, of course, you can go to my ArtStation page or my YouTube channel. So I got lost all my things here. There we go. So, ZBrush 2020, what's new? 2019, what's new? 2018, what's new? ZBrush 4R8, what's new? All this stuff. And then in ZBrush 2020, what's new? You can click on here, and then you've got 41 videos of all the new features, or on my YouTube channel. Go to my playlist. That's where all the things are organized. My bulk video section is just stuff. And then all my playlists are in here. So you guys can check that out and get caught up if you need to know about newer ZBrush functionality. And the only reason I would point you to my ArtStation page is it's just a little bit easier organized. My YouTube channel, like I have a playlist for 2020, but I also have some live streams, and so I have all of that packed in here and some images. So this might be a little more information and just a little bit more stuff to kind of visually guide you better. Let me get this cord out of the way. Hold on. And if I get caught up a little behind in my chat here, I apologize. How do you snap the gizmo to the part where you want to move? For the real detailed answer to that, go to the so the gizmo was ZBrush 4R8, what's new, and you can go through here, and this will be a gizmo pivot. It actually starts with all the gizmo stuff, but this is a quick one. You can go through here, and it's like, okay, I have my tooth here and I want to move it, and my gizmo's over here, so I can hold down Alt. That'll unlock it. You see when I tap Alt, it unlocks it here. So anytime you're in unlock mode, you can just tap on a surface and it'll find that surface normal. And you can also just rotate this gizmo, and it's not going to move the object, it's just going to move the gizmo. So at this point, if I wanted to go through here and do a, you know, a bend arc or a bend curve, I can go through here and I can kind of bend, do stuff with that unmasked point here. That's kind of neat. That's very relaxing. And you can modify objects just like that. And that's going to be based on your gizmo orientation. If you had your gizmo like this and you tried to do a bend arc, it's going to bend in that direction because that's the direction your gizmo is pointed. So a lot of really cool functionality up in here. Now, the ZBrush 4R8 playlist isn't going to have all of these. It's only going to have like 5 or 6 because that's all that was out at the time. But if you go to ZBrush 2018, what's new? That's when you get all the gizmo new functionality, which I think is called that. Deformer, slice deformer, all the deformer stuff in here is a lot of those new features in there. So let's go ahead and shrink this tooth down a little bit. So we've inserted some teeth, we've gone through and we've held down Control, and we've rotated some teeth, and we've stuck them in here. And let's go ahead and push this one behind a little bit. So these guys have layers and layers and layers of teeth. Once we're done with these top teeth, we can take them and we can try doing like a duplicate. And instead of trying to rotate this around, I'm going to hold down Alt. This is another gizmo thing. Hold down Alt and hit that reset. That'll reset it to the world axis. And then you can rotate this around, but now his teeth are pointing backwards. So I can go in here to my mirror across the Y. That's going to be in your deformation menu down here. And custom menus are super important. If you're new to ZBrush, I would suggest the ZBrush for ideation. There's a bunch of units in here, but the first one's free, and it's got all the basics, all the super duper basics. You can just check those videos out, and that'll get you caught up on like mirroring and moving stuff and all that fun stuff. So go through here, and we can just borrow these teeth as a good starting point. Looks like I missed a few teeth here. That's okay. I'll go ahead and scale these down and kind of stuff those right in here. And these ones, let's go ahead and I'm going to shrink them so that they're a little bit more pointy here. And you can also hold down Alt and just move this around. And then now let's go back to our toothbrush. Actually here, so we have a bunch of different teeth. And if we hit W and Control tap, it'll get anything that's its own polygroup and separate it out. However, since we've been moving these around, these are all part of the same poly group here. So what I can do is I can go into my move brush, and we can go into our brush settings here, and we can say auto masking. And mask by polygroups isn't going to do us any good because these are all part of the same polygroup. But you can go down here to topological, and then the first one you click will be the one you move. Of course, you're going to want to make your brush size very big in order to just move this around, or very small, and that'll just grab the geometry. Alternatively, what I like to do is do a polygroups. It's in your polygroups menu somewhere over here. There it is. And then do an auto groups, and then do a mirror and weld. Oh, the whole reason I brought this up is I use my custom menu all the time, and there's a custom menu video in here, custom hotkeys, interface, and custom menu right here. Video 49, custom interface and menus. And then hotkeys is probably just a little bit, look for the flaming hotkey icon. There it is, 31 is hotkeys. So that'll take you through setting up your own custom menu, because boy, does it ever beat just going over there into the menus and moving stuff around. So basically the whole point of this is just so I can go through and control tap these and get just a little bit more control over the little pieces I'm moving. And I love polygroups are all sorts of useful, especially when you're hard surface modeling. I live and die by my polygroups. That's the one thing I miss when I go into another package and try to model stuff, is like you have selection sets which are trash, and all these face selections that polygroups are far superior to anything I've encountered in the wild using other programs. I miss them whenever I'm not in ZBrush. So W, control tap these, and then we'll control pop this one tooth out here, and we'll go ahead and there we go. And then we'll alt tap this one, control tap. Now again, these are all one polygroup, so no big deal. And this is why these brushes here are in their own, somehow got out into their own polygroup. Not a big deal. You just go ahead and grab these ones, go ahead and do a split hidden into the split menu. And then this one here, if I don't know where these are in my stack, I don't need to care that much. I can hold down Shift, bent up arrow, shoot it to the top, alt tap this one, shoot it up, merge down, and these ones I'm going to go ahead and make sure Dynamesh is turned off. I don't want to accidentally Dynamesh these things together. And then now we're in good shape, and now we can go through here and go, okay, let's go and let's refine the transition between the teeth. And you know what? I like that big fat body on these sharks. So again, I'm looking, these guys get really wide through here. And it gives them just that nice kind of scary mouth here. So I'm gonna lean into that just a bit. Now I can turn off topological, and now I can move big chunks of these teeth around, which is helpful. And now we've got that nice scary mouth here. So I'm going to go through here, and we're going to have this lip just kind of tuck up underneath. And then on the sides here, we can have this kind of wrinkling up. So it's kind of like you know that the skin can stretch a little bit here. And then also, if you were to bend this guy or bend the tail or something when you go in to pose it, I generally work not posed as much as possible, and then I'll just pose at the end. But just because I'm thinking about it right now, if I go through here, let's go ahead and grab our trim dynamic and do that. So if we go through here and we say, let's turn off X symmetry, let's go ahead and mask this out. And we want to kind of rotate this around. You're going to really want to sell the idea that, you know, this side of the body is compressing, and then this side of the body is nice and stretched. So that'll just give you that kind of lived-in look a little bit like that. But we're not quite there yet. And in fact, doing that kind of movement would be a lot easier with a lower res envelope, which we'll get to in just a bit. Let's see. Is it possible to make stitches with the new Deco brush? Yeah, probably. Let me think. Yeah, let's see. Let's try it. So I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to go through here, and we're going to say, put in a little stitch here, and we're going to sew that up, and we're going to go in here with our clay brush, or let's do our clay buildup, and we'll put some stitches over here. Look at that. That is a mean look. And then we're going to go through here. We're going to go to, I guess we can do it for anything. But if you want to use the extractor brush, you can go BXT for the extractor brush. Make your brush size big enough. Just tap S and then hit G, and you can go And then now you have a stitch brush. Oh, one thing, if you just want to, it's capturing all the way back through my history, so I'm going to control tap that very last point, and now hit, now hit G, and then now we can grab this, and now it should behave as expected. So we have that, and we have an alpha. So if we go to the B brush deco, and if you are not familiar with deco and deco curved dots, that's going to be, this is a good one. ZBrush 2020, what's new? So we can go through here, and this is just kind of a little intro flash video, flashy. And then through here we talk about, just in this little one here, see if it comes up. No, I think it's like right towards the end. Yeah, so this is the deco curve brush. A lot of really cool functionality you can do with this. Of course, if you go to the upper right hand corner, okay, stop. You can go up here and it'll tell you all about the deco brush in here. So that's ZBrush 2020. What's new? But we can go in here. Let's do the brush deco here, and we're going to change this alpha out with our stitches. Now, again, oh, deco curve brush. Duh. We're not looking for deco. We're looking for deco drag dot. There we go. So now we can drag out an alpha on here, and let's drop that intensity way down. And it's the thing I like about this is it's fairly non-destructive. So now, let's see if we can't go in here to stroke. Let's make this work a little bit better. Oh, also, did that just work with subdivision history? Neat. Usually curves don't like that very much. Didn't know that. I learn something new every day. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to go into our stroke menu, and here's all of our curve options here. I'm going to go into liquid, and I'm going to knock this curve back just to delete some of these curves, just to see if I can't see where the upper bounds of this alpha is. And boy, that alpha is not really wanting to. Let's see if we go back here to so we have drag dot stroke, and then there's also the dot stroke. But that's just going to kind of multiply the effect. So as you drag out, it'll do that. So really, it's drag dots what we're looking for. And then we can turn off liquid, and we can pull the alpha around, but in this case, this alpha is so subtle. Think. We could capture a higher resolution alpha, but I don't think it's really going to help us. Okay, here's another thing we can try. Hit the comma key, go into brush. Let's go grab a real stitches brush that kind of well, we don't want it to necessarily be small and repeat. We can grab this brush, so now we have this alpha. So we can go back to the brush deco. Drag dot, curve dots, brush. Ugh. Drag dot, swap out. Oh, come on. Fine. Alpha. Is there a clone in here? I mean, I guess I can make texture and then make alpha. And then we go in here to our brush deco, drag dot, and then grab that brush alpha. And that'll update this alpha on the fly. But again, it's just going to drag that one alpha along unless we change our stroke, but then it's going to want to build up that stroke. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, if I was doing very non-destructive stitches, I wouldn't even bother using alphas, because if you drag out an alpha and then you want to make this a new material, you can kind of do it with the new alpha options, but I like doing stitches where I can go through and I can just drag stitches on. So for example, let's go back to our history here, and we'll start here. So for example, you can make a stitch brush and you can just copy this along, but you can also just go into, I think I have a brush in here that has stitches on it. Brush, cloth, these are some ZBrush guides, cloth brush. So now this one doesn't want to work nicely with that. We can go through here and we can change this depth. which we talked about already. Let's embed that down to 0. And then now I can just drag out stitches, and then I can tap off, and I can go through here, and I can say split mask point. So now if I need to fill this with material or make any changes to this, it's a lot less destructive than actually sculpting it into my object. So I don't know, food for thought. So now we have shark, and of course we need gills on the shark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Damien's standard brush, and you can, if you don't hold down Alt, you can just go through here, and you can just put gills on here, and then you can hold down Alt, and you can kind of pull up along there. If you want to have a little bit more of an even stroke, go into your lazy radius. It's in your stroke menu, lazy mouse, lazy radius, and then you can go very nice and clean through here, and just kind of, you can hold down Alt to pull out, and then let go of Alt to kind of push in. And that can be the start of your alpha. I think so. Something like that. Okay. Oh, not magic. This is all, certainly nothing I do is magic. I've seen some magical stuff. This is all just technique. But it's fun. Hopefully, like when you're doing this type of stuff in ZBrush, the reason I like using ZBrush a lot is because it's fun to make stuff. In any other program, it's be kind of a drag. But in ZBrush, it's kind of just fast, and you can kind of play around with stuff and have a very little fun. Have a little bit of fun while you're kind of going through, and go through here with our Damien standard brush. We'll kind of, oops, let's turn on X symmetry, and I'm going to do a quick mirror and well just to make sure everything's symmetrical. And I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to turn my lazy radius back down. So again, just kind of going through here, and we can kind of emphasize, you know, these wrinkles over the nose, and this nose here. Again, this is kind of from that other nose. Let's see, where do shark noses end up? Oh, okay, they're right there towards the. So I'm making the features just a bit smaller. I'm really emphasizing that mouth, but then the eyes and the nose and the other stuff is just going to, if I make them all big, it's going to make the rest of his body look big. But if I make those small, then all of a sudden his other body parts tend to look a little bit more menacing. So now we can go through here. So that's where there are little nose holes here, and then little eyes, and then there's the gills. Let's go through and let's do let's just look at a shark. A great white shark. Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, little nose. Okay, they're kind of towards the front, and then these teeth are all over the place. Look how fat. Very, very wide. So that's that kind of look I'm kind of going for. And then, okay, yeah, so the teeth and the gums got a nice separation there. So I'm going to keep this one up. Maybe. It's kind of a relaxed mouth, but our mouth's pretty open. Like so. Ooh, it's got some nice wrinkles along here. Little dead eyes, like a doll's eyes. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to use just this is a reference we're talking about. And again, we had that pointy nose, shark pointy nose here. And again, that just kind of adds to that aggressive flavor of it. And even this one here, we could, if we want to make it look more streamlined, we could take this one here and just kind of pull that back a little bit here, and then just it's all just Dynamesh. So just very quickly turn on Dynamesh, and then you just go through here and kind of resolve that. And of course, you can work on that separately. You don't have to work on the fin connected to his body all the time. You can always Dynamesh it back together, but that's fine. So yeah, looking at these, and then looking also. So I don't know a ton about sharks. Oh, there we go. So on the side here, the fin, you know what, let's do this. Hold down Shift, and let's go into Sculptors Pro, and we can just get rid of those fins temporarily. And then I can actually borrow. Let's go through here. Let's take this select lasso. I've already got the shape I need. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to hit B, create insert mesh, new. And then now I can just kind of go through and drag out some new fins. And then now I have a little bit more leeway as to the position and the size and where they end up going. If I want to, again, hold down Alt and reposition this and kind of spread those out a little bit. Then he's got smaller ones back towards the back of the body. That's we deleted those off earlier, so I'm just go ahead and again we have LSIM turned off. So I'll go ahead and stick those back here, like so. And if I want to work on those separately, it's no big deal. I can hold down Control Shift and select this poly group, or I can just grab a little piece of it, Control Shift A, which is visibility, grow all, split hidden, and now these are on their own. And these ones I'm going to raise that resolution a bit because they are thinner. And then now, again, we can just work on those separately. And then I'm going to go through here. I can also do a deformation inflate. I'm going to fatten those up a bit. I knew that was going to happen. So whenever you're splitting stuff off a lot, sometimes ZBrush will get in a kind of a weird state. What I'll tend to do in that case is I'll go up to Quick Save and then reload the file from that Quick Save. The good news is we didn't lose anything. All you got to go is go down here to Recovered Z tool and we're back where we started. So no big deal. But just FYI, go turn off Align Cursor to Surface. I guess one thing we did lose is any brushes that we made, but since we just plopped them in there, and I still have my toothbrush, my teeth brush, so we can go in here to our creature, and there it is. Since we saved it, we're good to go. Cool. Eat 3 days and now, I mean, Eat 3D was way back in the day. You can kind of see some of that way down here. There's my E3D guy. So this was what, 2000 and God, I had just started SOE. I don't even remember, 10 years ago. I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning because I didn't eat breakfast. But that was a long time ago. My workflows, I mean, obviously that was ZBrush like 3.1, so quite a bit. Before creating an IMM brush, do you recommend meshing it first, or is that done at the very end? Kind of depends on how you want to use it. I wouldn't make super heavy insert mesh brushes. If you have like, you can make this whole shark an insert mesh brush. You can go to B, create insert mesh new. However, this shark is 134,000 points. So if you wanted to put this shark along a curve and make 1,000 sharks along a curve, that's going to get very heavy very fast. In which case, maybe going into Z plugin decimation master, preprocess current, and then just preprocess this down. So you won't really lose much, depending on what resolution you're working at. So you can say preprocess current, give it a second, and then you know what? I always like to look at the performance stuff because I'm always tracking that. So okay. So, and then we can go down here to percent of decimation. I'm going to decimate this down to like, let's say 10K. So we're going to go from 130,000 down to 10K, hit decimate current. You're going to see we get a little faceted, but depending on where you're going to see this resolution from, it may not be a big deal. If that's too much, you can just type in 50, hit enter, and then hit decimate. You don't have to pre-process again, and that's fine. So this will actually be better if you go here to brush, create insert mesh new, and then now at 50, you could probably go in here and say, let's turn on curve mode. And we'll turn off X symmetry, and now you can put a bunch of sharks along a curve. Woo! Okay, maybe that was a little bit heavy for ZBrush. But the moral of this story is make sure that you decimate stuff down to an appropriate level depending on what you're going to use it for. Okay. X symmetry, line cursor is off. So here we go, remeshing. Is it difficult to get a job at certain affinity, and what do you guys look for? No, I would say yes, just because we're not a big, huge company. We're bigger, but we're not like super. I mean, our character team is on a bunch of projects, and we've only got a handful, really. Let me see, certain. It kind of depends on what department. I'm director of character art, so I know about character requirements. Let me see, careers. Let me see. Our Toronto office is hiring a bunch, so you can see a couple Austin in there. That's where I'm at. Technical artists, senior concept artists, lead technical artists. You know any technical artists? Send them our way. And then Toronto's really where it looks like it's scaling quite a bit. Our Toronto studios getting, senior hard surface character artist, Toronto. So click on here. Talented people, you want to work on robots, weapons, and vehicles, and enemies. That's what we're looking for. More of a hard surface character position up in Toronto. Fun stuff though. Good times. You're not late. You're right on time. We haven't done too much. Cool. And again, if I miss something, just shout it back out. How do you change the size of the curve brush without changing the resolution of the curve? The resolution of the curve, I think those are tied together, unfortunately, because you're right. If you go into, like, say, BTO, which is your topology brush, and you have a very large brush size, that'll be the resolution of your curve. And then if you make your brush size small and you go across, it's just going to increase or decrease the resolution of your curve. By the way, if you didn't know about this, you can go through and you can just make geometry. So you can use this to, I wouldn't use it for this, but you can go through here and you can retopologize this entire character, or if you wanted to put on, I don't know, what could we put on this guy? Let's put on, what would be, okay, we'll put on a little mask. So we can go through here. I like to not work on symmetry because the topology brush's symmetry can kind of sometimes be a little bit wonky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn X off, and we're just going to go through and we're going to drag around like where a mask shape would be, and you can just continue. There's no ear for it to latch on. We can go through here and you can just start making geometry just by connecting these curves together. We need a little more resolution through here, so we can go through. We can do this, and then if we want to hold down Alt, we can go through here and we can just drag, and that'll delete some of these things. So we can tap off, and then now we have geometry. I can go ahead and say split mask points. Since we're across that midline, I can do a quick mirror. Actually, I don't even need to do that anymore. Just do a mirror and weld. Oh, maybe I do. Mirror across the X, and then mirror and weld. And then now we have, let's turn on X symmetry and go through here, and we can put a little mask in here. And now it's just topology. However, honestly, if I was doing this for reals, I would do this. So I'm going to go in here to, we'll delete that. Here's how I do it. I would go in here to Control, and I would turn on X symmetry in this case. I would go through here and I would mask, like we're going to do like a burglar shark. And we got this masked here. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this entire subtool off. We're going to go into Polyframe here. I'm going to go down here to Geometry, Edge Loop, do an Edge Loop Mask Border, get a little bit of a cleaner cut around there, and then Geometry Modify Topology, Delete Hidden. And then now, you know what, I also need to go ahead and delete this out. So we can do another Edge Loop Mask Border, grab this one, and then delete hidden. So now this is geometry. You can extract this. You can give it thickness. I like to do underneath geometry, there's a ZRemesher area. A lot of cool new functionality in here with freeze group and keep creases and stuff like that from 2018, I think, or 2019. We're going to go through here and we're going to do ZRemesher half. Turn that up. That's the size. You don't have to turn it all the way down, but down a bit. I'm just going to keep hitting half until we get something a little bit more appropriate. And then I can go through here, Z Model Brush, BZM, QMesh, Polygroup All. We go through here and just pull out the thickness. And then now when I hit D for dynamic, we can do a little dynamic subdivision. I can also do a crease PG, which is going to crease the polygroups between those. And I can do like a crease level of 2, smooth subdiv of 3. And I kind of put a little bevel along there. Let's do crease level of 1. And then now, if we like this, you can do D and Shift D to turn dynamic on and off. That's going to be in your, and I know I'm going fast. Like, don't bother being like, you're going too fast. If you want to know more about this stuff, it's the basics of ZBrush, go to my YouTube channel. It's all there. Anything, all the words coming out of my mouth, just go and type it in, like dynamic subdiv, and that'll show you. So open here, dynamic, you have dynamic. So Shift D, D to turn it back on. In this case, if I was doing hard surface stuff, like if I went through here and I was like, I want to put in a little cylinder on here and split that off, I can do, you can do a geometry crease and go ahead and crease those edges a little bit here. And if we want to get even fancier, we can go through here, we'll do like a group by normals and then do a geometry modified topology, mirror and weld. And then I can go in here to my comma key. I'm going to brush. No, we don't need to do that. Just hit B. Let's go in here to IMM Boolean. And then we can just grab one of these cooler shapes. So here, I can borrow some of these shapes here. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and switch. I'm going to go grab this. And like what we did earlier, if I want to borrow some geometry here, I go into Z plugin. We can go into IMM extractor. Extract all of those. Oops, gotta hit that brush. Boolean. There we go. So again, if I want to browse this, I can just hit the N key, and then I go through here and I can borrow this. Let's go ahead and grab over here, and then we'll do Control Shift S to shrink, and now I can hit B, create insert mesh, new, and then now we can go back here. So now the trick with these is, if these are polygroups, I can use Mesh Fusion. However, if I was to use Mesh Fusion on this one now, it wouldn't resolve very nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control D, which is going to subdivide this once, delete lower. So now I have a little more resolution around that cylinder here. And I'm also going here, I'm going to turn off SMT, that's a smooth modifier. So now I can borrow some of this geometry. I'm also going to go out of solo mode so it doesn't disappear. So I can borrow this geometry here, and then I can go in here, control drag again, and that'll go ahead and resolve that geometry for me. If I want to invert that, I can hold down Alt, and that'll push it underneath and behind. And you can actually move it if you want to like push that in, control drag again, and again it's just going to resolve that geometry. So that's fine. So now I can go through here, I can do a crease PG, crease level of 1, smooth subdiv of, crease level of 2, smooth subdiv of 3. And if I want to put in an edge loop here, insert single edge loop, ZModeler BZM, and you can go through here and you can kind of go through here and you can say, you know what, I want to bevel, edge loop complete, and then we'll do Shift D to turn that off so I can see a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and bevel this edge, and then I want to do like an inset polygroup ball region. Then I want to do a Q mesh polygroup ball, hold down Shift and pull it along that surface normal. Then I'm going to run a crease tolerance on here, let's drop that down a little bit so we can catch all those, and we hit D, and then that's going to, again, go ahead and set those up. Let's do another PG dynamic, level of 2, smooth subdiv 3, there we go. So now we got some hard surface modeling. So that would be more of a dynamic type thing. But of course, that's just a silly shape, so you just delete that. So anyway, again, that's just preview. And again, the cool thing about the Q mesh brush is if you wanted to go through here and be like, you know what, I want a little notch in here, you can just Alt paint these and then just drag them through. And you can go through and that'll just delete any geometry. Or we can actually make this thicker, so we can say Q mesh polygroup ball, and then just again hold down Shift and pull along that surface normal. If you want to embed in the face a little more, just do the opposite. Oops, looks like we got a little extra polygon here. No big deal. Hold down Control Shift A, invert that, delete hidden. So now we got this, we got a mask on here. And on something like cloth and not hard surface, what I probably would end up doing is going down here to dynamic and apply, and now I can go through here and we can kind of lean into, you know, this is kind of fitting on his face here, so we can put some wrinkles in here and then Shift to smooth. Let's go ahead and knock that Z intensity down a bit, and then we go in here with our clay brush and maybe build up in between, and again dynamic, and make it look like that mask is just kind of sitting right on top of that face. Yeah. Superhero shark. Going through ZBrush for ADH tunes are amazing. Thank you. No problem. Yeah, hopefully, I'm glad those videos work out. I like having basics to get people ramped up, because that's stuff you got to kind of know. But I don't want to. I don't know. It's easier for people just to go through that list and kind of get caught up real quick. Armor-plated shark. You might be onto something, John. Let's finish this guy out and see. Let's see where that takes us. I kind of like that, so I'm not gonna delete it. I'll just keep it around. If you want an easier one, if I undo that, if you want just real quick geometry, you can go down here to Subtool Extract and just extract that geometry out. That thickness is a bit much. And this is just a preview geometry, and this is a very touchy. If you tap this in here, you're gonna see there's a smaller little orange thing you can grab, and that'll give you a little more fine-tune ability to kind of on some of the more touchy sliders. It doesn't really even matter. It's like once you're done, you can say extract, I want to accept it. Now you have actual geometry, and then even through here you can go through and you can add thickness and use ZModeler. However, this geometry, you can add smoothness. You can go up here to the smooth modifier, but you can also go down here and you can do a deformation polish by features. If you do closed circle, that'll maintain your volumes, and that'll go through and polish your geometry, so you get a much nicer result. And You go into solo mode here, it's maintaining my volumes. Now if you do open circle just by clicking this, it's really going to polish your object, so you get a very nice hard surface kind of look. But you know, you'll lose your volumes here, so you may need to go back in here, and you could use a history brush if you wanted to get those back, or ZProject brush if you wanted to, but it's easy enough just to go through there. But that's extraction, and you can ZRemesh this result as well. I'll use extraction every once in a while, but usually like a little bit cleaner geometry. Is there a way to get folds below stitches if you use IMM stitches? Yeah, but it might be a two-part process. That's kind of what I ended up doing for, so we go through here and we say Control Shift and we do a slice. You know what, let's do this. Let's do Control Shift. If we wanted to make this like a stuffed animal, you can do like a slice circle. And we can go ahead and slice this little piece out here, and then along here we can actually put stitches. So I'm going to go in here again to be, you know what, let's just make our own brush stitches since you guys, it's worth knowing. So we can go in here, I'm going to go down here to initialize with this poly whatever, any polygon object, not a primitive, but an actual polygon object. If you have a primitive, this will give you these initialize options, which are cool, but I'm looking for these ones, so I can go cube, and we'll go ahead and scale this out. And one more time, we're going to go in here to bevel edge loop complete. And you know, let's do this a couple times. If we do one bevel, we can actually tap, and then I'll do that. Hold down Control Alt. Let's turn on X symmetry as well, and then Control Alt. And I'm going to kind of bend these back, and then we're going to go through here and we're going to thin this out two ways. And we can just use our move brush on this, honestly. Oh, let's do this. Let's go into our brush. Yeah, depth. And then there's infinite depth. So we're infinite depth in the Z direction, so we'll go ahead and it's already on. So now when I go through here and move these, infinite depth, turn it on, it'll go all the way through my object. So that way I don't have to turn on transpose. I mean, you can go in here to transform and activate symmetry in the Z, but this is easy too. And then we're symmetrical across the x-axis. We'll just do a quick mirror and weld. Control Alt. Push this up, and we'll run another bevel along here. So this will be our thread here. And again, I'm just looking to kind of embed this thread here, like so. And if we want to simplify this, because we're going to be putting it along a curve, we don't need this middle one in here. We can go to Insert, Single Edge Loop, hold down Alt, Control W, make it all one poly group. That's just our simple thread shape. We can hit D for dynamic. You know, let's go ahead and fatten that out a little bit. So there's our thread. If we want to actually make it more curvy, we can go again in here. We can do like a bend arc, and we can just do a deformer, make it a little more curvy, or you can even do a bend curve, but that's probably a little overkill. So we have this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move it this way, because IMM brushes like to go top to bottom, especially when you're doing tri-curve brushes, but this is just going to be a repeating shape here. So we can hit B, create insert mesh, new, stroke, curve, 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 holding down shift, open these all up, curve mode, and then now you can go through here and you can just kind of put these along the path, and then we're going to go in here to curve step. We'll just kind of raise that up a bit so they're kind of spaced out a little bit more. And again, if you want to save this, you go right ahead. So now that we have this slice shape, we can go in here to stroke, frame our polygroup border, and then if we have X turned on, it's going to do a duplicate, or it's going to double up my stitches. I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to tap X to go out of X symmetry temporarily, and then whoa, make our brush size very small, make our depth embed to 0, and then now we can put, oh wow, really small. We can put our stitches right along his body here. However, you're right, it is going to not be embedded. So one thing we can do is, well, I mean, we could put the stitches on there now, but first let's do this. Let's go down here to masking. I'm going to mask along that group's border, and I'm going to grow that mask. I'm going to invert that mask, and then I'm going to again mask that group's border. So now when I go through here and I inflate, just going to, this geometry isn't enough to kind of support this. This is exactly how I did my stitchy. There's my little Burt Reynolds guy. If you go in here to ZBrush 2020, what's new? The making of this one here. Let me see if I can. This one has a very haunting melody behind it from YouTube. So I made this for the ZBrush 2020 beta, and you can still watch the making of this. But when you get to this section here, perfect. You're going to see I have these kind of raised areas, so it's exactly the exact same thing. You can go through here, and actually in my live stream, I want to say this live stream or this live stream, I go through this, but basically slice and then go through and mask. But this was ZRemeshed geometry, so we may have to do that to get a nicer result, which isn't a big deal. ZRemeshing this guy is going to actually be really easy, so I think we're about there. We can do that. So let's back up a minute. Let's do this right. So I'm going to go ahead and re-dynamesh this. Perfectly fine. I think we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put these other fins back in here with him. Oh wait, we are missing one part of him, which is our gills. So I'm going to hold down. Let's do a, oh boy, I'm going to do a quick save. And then I'm going to go into my comma key, quick save, and the latest quick save in here. Recovered. Quick save. Just reload it fresh from that quick save. And then I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to Alt tap these ones, Shift shoot to the top. Alt tap these ones, Shift shoot to the top. Merge it down, Control drag, and now these are all together. So now I can go through here and I can do a ZRemeshed version of this. So now, the reason I'm doing that is just so I have a little bit more control over my geometry. However, if I wanted to do, again, like a quilt version of this one, I want to control where those edge loops are going to go. So I'm going to hit Control W. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to say, let's turn on X symmetry, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put in control where I want. So I want a line to go around here. Let's go ahead and turn off line so I can see a little bit better. I want a line to go around here. Like so. And then I'm going to do, I guess I can do an edge loop mask border, but this is probably fine. I hit Control W, and I'm going to isolate this one. I'm going to do an auto groups. I'm going to grab this one and this one, make that all one polygroup. Just make it a little bit easier. If I want a loop to go around here, I can. I think I'll probably be fine. I can even go as far as being like, I want a loop around here, and then another loop around here, and then animate a loop around the mouth. Again, I'm not overly concerned about that, but if I wanted to go through here and add stitches, I can go through here and just go through and just slice this thing up like it's going to be a quilt. We can go through here like so and just add some. And I guess if I was going to construct this as a quilt, I may actually have these fins. That would make sense. So let's go ahead and do that. You can just do mask lasso if you want through here, or you can try, if you want a very, very nice slice, you can go through here and you can slice that up. And having nice slices is going to help ZRemesher. So for instance, if I go through here, so I'm going to have to clean up that mouth, that's no big deal. If I go through here and mask, I mean, that's not exactly true. You can have ZRemesher say, I want this to be smooth when you ZRemesh, and that's also fine. But I tend to want a little bit more control than that. So I'm going to go in here and mask, Control Alt Tap, and if I just simply, let's go back to mask pin and we'll clean this up. If I simply hit Control W, I'm going to get kind of an alias line here, and ZRemesher is going to go, oh, do you want me to capture all that? Generally speaking, no. So one way to combat that is to try going in here to edge loop mask border, and that'll give you a little bit of a cleaner cut through there. But on the mouth, we didn't do that. But we can go in here, and we can, just with this showing, you can do a polish polygroups border. But let's, instead of doing that, let's try, I'm going to click this. I'm going to go down here to masking. I'm going to do mask by border, just to mask those border edges. Control Shift Tab to bring everything back. Control Tap to invert that. And now I can do a polish by features. Let's do open circle and just tap. And that'll kind of smooth out that line around that mouth. So now we've got our stitches here. Let's go ahead and here, and then mask pin. I think this will be fun. This will be fun. And in fact, when we go through, we can soften his teeth out, and we can replace his eyeballs with buttons. Okay, now I'm excited because I think that'll be fun. And then one more time. Geometry, edge of the mask border. There we go. So you have nice clean cuts through here. Hopefully this works okay with ZRemesh. Sometimes it can get a little bit weird in there, but we can resolve that. So what we can do is we can go through here. We can say ZRemesh, keep groups. Smooth groups is going to tell it to go ahead. If you have any little aliased edges, go ahead and smooth it. You know what? We can, since they're already smooth, we don't have to have that on, but we'll go ahead and keep that on. Detect edges we can turn off. And then we're going to say half. I'd have to size down a bit. And we have X symmetry turned on, so it'll be a symmetrical ZRemesh. And we're going to let this do the heavy lifting for retopologizing for us. And we'll get a much nicer, cleaner result. Let's go ahead and turn on line here. Oh man, that's beautiful. Let's do ZRemesh half one more time. So nice. Let's push our luck here. You can also hold down Shift in ZRemesh. It's getting a little bit crinkly over here, and see if that gives you it gives you a different midline algorithm, which may or may not work. It actually isn't too terrible. Okay, we'll keep this. So one thing we can do is now that we've ZRemeshed this, we've lost all our detail. So we could duplicate this off with our high res and then go back, but we can also go in here now and we can do a history project. So I'm going to go back through my history to where I have all my detail even before we started slicing if we wanted to. But I mean, really, that's fine. I can control tap that point in history, and then I go forward. I can go through here and I can do underneath subtool, not geometry, because we're transferring information from one subtool to another. Project, history project, and then I can hit Control D, project history, Control D, project history. And there might be some little corners in here that are having a little bit of, like this geometry got a little bit weird. I actually kind of like that divot in there, but we can resolve all that. So I'm basically just getting, I can hit Control D, project history. Yeah, I'm not really getting much out of that anymore. So I'm going to go through here, and that actually worked out in my favor. Happy accidents. Nothing wrong with that. So now we have much nicer geometry, and this will actually help us when we're sculpting as well. So instead of sculpting on a Dynamesh, I'm going to run a smooth on here. Deformation. Smooth. 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 There we go. So now, if we were going to go through and like bend this and pose it, we have nice subdivision history. So if I wanted to, remember when we did it earlier, it was kind of difficult. I'm going down to subdivision level 1, control drag, mask lasso, control tap, and see how beautifully that smooths now. You can also, if you have a high resolution mesh, by the way, the further away you go, the more blur you'll get. So there is a way around that, but it's also nice to just be able to go through here and just control tap as many times as you need to. So now we can go through here, oops, turn off X symmetry, and now when I bend, much nicer result. And then I can go through here, and I can really kind of sell the idea that this is, you know, really compressing on this side here, and then really stretching on this side over here. And then as I go up in subdivisions, I can just add more detail. And the sculpting surface is much nicer because it's all a bunch of quads as opposed to a bunch of weird Dynamesh triangles. So whenever you're ready and you're not going to be adding a tremendous amount of detail that's going to really stretch or stress your underlying geometry, then I would say go ahead and ZRemesh. So now we get a big fat compression on that side. But again, I tend not to pose early. So now we have nice clean lines and we have nice subdivision history. So now when I go through here and I'm like, okay, let's put stitches along here and we'll make them like a stuffed animal. We already showed how to make stitches. I'm going to grab, I like these claw stitches because these, all you need to do to make these, again, you can extract these out and make whatever you want. So these are going to be crisscrossed over. These are kind of alternating. So I'm going to grab this one here. And again, if I want to test control, I can duplicate this off, and we're in solo mode here. I'm going to go down here to geometry of like 3, no, 2, and then I'm going to go over here to, oh yeah, let's go in here to stroke, frame our polygroup mesh border, and then with this one here, we can just tap along here and it'll go ahead and get stitches right along our shark here. There's going to be some small changes I need to make. Let's make our draw size a little bigger. I'm going to kind of over crank these stitches so you can see them. There we go, just big fat stitches on there. But possibly before we do that, or this is fine. I don't know. We'll test it out. So those can be our stitches here. I can do a quick split mask points, and then I can delete that placeholder shark here. No geometry. Okay, so that's a quick way to get stitches. Now on this one here, let's try to again go through here. I think we have enough resolution now to go through here and do a masking, mask my border, groups border. And then in fact, we can probably grow this a little bit, a couple times. Control tab to invert. Now I'm going to mask my seam line in here. So now when I go through and inflate, and also if we want to turn off view mask temporarily, we can go through here and we can just do like an inflate of like 2, or maybe, it's not great. And then in this one, let's go ahead and polish by features to kind of knock that back a little bit. So that'll kind of give us kind of like a raised indentation in here. That's not terrible. And if we want to also, we can control drag to unmask, and then we can go in here and mask by our groups border again, and then I can invert that, and then we can do a deformation deflate and just kind of pull that geometry way back inside. And then as we do, we can maybe even do another inflate, like maybe 2. And then do another polish by features. A feature is a crease. Let's do close circle. As a crease or a polygroup line. So now we've got those lines cut along here. So we still have access to our polygroups. However, some of these need to be massaged a little bit. So I'm going to go through here. And I'm going to kind of push. Let's see, we got auto masking in here anywhere. Brush. This is getting a little heavy. Just hit R. It doesn't delete anything, but auto masking. Topology going back to people. Yeah, that's not ideal, but you know what? Who cares? And even through here, you can go through and just manually kind of take your Damien standard brush and pull along there, and then take your standard brush and kind of make your own divot. Not impossible. And I could even go through here and redraw this using Z-spheres if I wanted to, and make it perfect. But man, who has time for that? So I'm all about good enough. So through here, looks like we got a little bit of overlapping through here, so I'm going to alleviate some of that. And then I'm going to go back in with my standard brush and kind of pop that out a little bit. And mask by polygroups will work with any brush, so you can go ahead and turn that on. Oh, look, I had my X symmetry turned off. No big deal. I want to go through here and do mask pin, mask the half I like, deformation, or the half I want to keep, and then do a smart resim across the X. And then I'll go ahead and resim that over, and then I can hit X symmetry. So now, again, now we have a much nicer surface. We've got seam lines in there. We've kind of dimpled some stuff up. So now we can go through here and use our standard brush or a clay brush and really kind of sell this. But now, of course, now he's like a stuffed animal. So let's go in here to BI brush insert IMM parts, hit M. There is some buttons in here, and I think there's also some in the BI brush insert clothing. Clothing. Now these are like snap assemblies. Okay, so BI brush insert IMM parts, and then yeah, this is fine. We'll grab one of these. So now, if I try to drag this out, since we have subdivision history, it's going to yell at us. So all we need to do is we can put a null object in here, or we can just go to any object that doesn't have subdivision history, and we can just replace that. So we're going to go ahead and say, oops, let's turn on X symmetry here. And then we're going to go ahead and say split mask points. And now we can alt tap these eyeballs, turn those off. And now we have, I want to kind of thicken this up. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to do an inflate, deformation inflate. W. And then alt tap the head here. If I really want to, I can go in here to my I'm going to drop the subdivision down a little bit. I'm going to go into transparency and ghost, and now I can really kind of dig around here, and then we'll raise that subdivision a little up. That'll just allow us to kind of sculpt through here and really kind of embed. There we go. And we can hit D, turn on dynamic subdivision. That'll give us a little bit better idea of what that's going to look like subdivided. Here we can go back up. Now, those stitches we put in originally, they seem to be working fine, actually. You could go through and redo everything we've done up to that point, but honestly, it just looks like it needs a little bit of love. No biggie. Now, here's the thing. If you really wanted to, you could go through here and say, bit by bit, again, turn on transparency and ghost if you want to kind of go through, and then like, you could also do a Boolean if you wanted to. That might be a little overkill if you want to go through and like Boolean this apart. I don't know if that's really worth it. So one more thing we need to do is we need to go over here to these teeth, and we need to soften them up. So I'm going to go through here. I'm going to do an inflate. And you know what? Let's do this all at once. I'm going to take these teeth, hold down Shift, shoot it to top. Shift, bent arrow, shoot it to top. Merge down. Auto groups, geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld. I'm just going to ZRemesh these. Half, depth size down to 0. I just want nice even quads. Doesn't have to be perfect, because what I'm going to do is just inflate these. And then polish by features. There are really no features, so I'm just going to kind of polish these down. And then we're going to ZRemesh half again. I'm just looking for some nice soft teeth. Some pillowy teeth. There we go. And now we can hit D. Those aren't soft enough. Let's go ahead and polish by features. Gross. Ooh, that was kind of creepy. Little needle teeth. That's probably a bit much. So go through here and then do an inflate, and then polish by features, and inflate. Let's do polish by features. Close circle. Yeah, I seem to be losing a lot of mass on these back ones here. So we're going to do an auto groups. Mirror and weld here. Now when I did mirror and weld, it probably did some weird stuff down the midline, but that's okay. Go ahead and delete hidden. Yeah, go ahead and grab that little weird piece of geometry. And then W, control tap this one here, control drag. Bear with me. Okay, and then W, move brush. We'll move all these teeth back in here. You can make a pretty cool balloon animal using a lot of these same techniques, actually. And that'd be a really cool render to do in Keyshot. So anyway, we have this here. We're going to go ahead and hit D for dynamic, and we can just manually go through here and inflate these up as well. Anything that's not chubby enough. Okay, so now we've got that. We got this. We got this. Let's go ahead and massage some of these stitches out just a tiny bit. And now, if we want this to really look like fabric, we can go through and paint that. However, part of the problem is if we go in here and we say texture, import, desktop, 2020, fabric. So we'll go ahead and grab all these patterns in here. And then if I wanted to throw one of these into like this fabric here, just throw this into Spotlight. And then we'll crank this down a little bit, and I'll make the size go down a little bit here. And then we got the body selected. So we can go through here with our standard brush, turn on RGB, and we can paint this on here. But if you're trying to like match these around, it's going to be a real pain to go through here, hit Shift Z, and match these patterns up. What's going to help though is if I go over here to Z plugin, UV master. It is symmetrical. We are going to have polygroups. We are going to work on a clone because we're good ZBrush users. We have all this broken up already. So we're going to say unwrap with our polygroups and our symmetry. And we go to flatten, and then there's our UVs. So we can unflatten this. We can copy these UVs. We're going to go back to our original shark here. We're going to paste those UVs. And now, if we go over here to our UV section, and we say morph UV. That's going to morph our UVs out, and now I can just paint directly on here. So now when I go into Z, I can also tile this if I want. I hold down Shift, and I can tile, is it Alt? Shift? I thought it was Shift. Could have sworn it was Shift. You know, I've forgotten more ZBrush at this point than I remember. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this out, and now we can go through here and we can paint RGBA. Yeah, let's go ahead and turn off X symmetry. This is a really good use of the mask by poly groups. So if I want to be careful, let's go here. Let's go to RGB intensity of 0 or 100. And I can go through here and I can just start painting. Like I want this to be, and I want this to be here, and I want this to be, and then Shift Z, and then we can morph UV back. And then now it's going to be nice and projected to our object here. So let's go ahead and put on some, let's go ahead and morph UV back out. And then we're going to go in here to Z. We have with this on, you know, it would have been a better idea for me to add these with this on because it would have brought them all in. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and grab this one. We'll add this one to Spotlight. And again, hold down Shift. I could have sworn. You know, maybe it was, and I'm just seeing it. So we'll go ahead in here, and we'll go ahead and say you get to be you, and then add a spotlight, and you are you. Let's work our way down. And flannel, that's a good one. It's probably my favorite. And these I just got out of Substance Designer. I don't want it tiled that much, but it seems to be locked into what I brought it in at. Think. Let's do this. See here. I may have gotten in a bad state. You can actually save out these spotlights as well, which can sometimes be useful. Yeah, okay, it is Shift. I'm just dumb. Okay, so here, and then I think when I bring them in, it's applying it to whatever we had. And now I'm getting bored, so I'm going to go through here and I'm going to say, you know what, you and you and you get that one. And then, and this is probably going to be a mess too, but that's okay. There we go. And then you and you. And you. Okay. Morph UV. Here, and then it's all going to be, the stitches can all be just one group here. Now, if you want to go through here and you're like, oh, you know what, I should have actually subdivided that one more time when I was painting so I get more texture resolution. That's not a big deal. So now the stitches can all be, let's go back to our starting material here. So we can hit D if we want to see what it's going to look like subdivided, and then we can go through here and we can do, you just fill this with a basic material color, or just a basic color here. So we'll go through here. You know what? We'll make it match patchy. I'm going to take this green color, fill object, and then this one here, let's go ahead and separate out. Let's go auto groups, mirror and weld, split hidden. We're going to make this black, or very dark, I should say. And then these here, we can tap C to get that color. Fill object here, and then the teeth here, we can make those just like an off-white. And then we'll go back to like a skin shader 4 so we can see a little bit better. So we got our shark going. Okay, now details. Let's hold down Shift and we'll turn off that so we can see this a little bit better. That's actually not too bad. Now this is another thing. If I want to go through here and I really want to kind of sell the idea that there's differences happening along here. Actually, let's go back to startup material. So going through here and like sculpting out like, okay, these divots are going to kind of want to do this along here. Let's go also turn on lazy radius and crank that up just a bit so we can get a nice smooth result along here. And then through in between, it'll kind of puff out a little bit. Honestly, if I was going to do this for real, I would literally go through and do this type of thing. However, to speed this along a little bit just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do one side here. So we're going to go through and we're just going to kind of like mix and match this a little bit, and then we're going to puff this up in between. And we still have mask by polygroups at 100, so it's actually masking while we're doing that. And then now what we can do is we can go over here and we can do a, you know, I wonder if I capture that. We'll try it. All we can do is try, right? So I'm going to go over here to our Morph UV, go to solo mode, and this side along here, I can do BXT. We can use our extractor brush, G. Oh yeah, that may not work that great. Hold on. I want to hold down Control and tap at that point in our history. Let's try this. G. I need to be very careful along that corner there. Okay, that's not terrible. Let's crank that intensity up a little bit. And then now we can go in here, we can morph our UV. And then now I can just kind of go along the edges here. And is it going to match up? No. Is it going to be close enough for government work? Yes. So we're going to go through here and we're just going to sell that idea that these pieces are being stitched and held together. And if you wanted to get really fancy, you could try. No, I still don't think that deco brush is going to work in this particular instance. If you wanted to like frame a mesh and have it like automatically apply this along all your curves, that'd be interesting. But I'm not sure that would work all that great. And let's hope I'm sculpting on the right side. If we want to see, I can unmorph my UVs here. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not. Oh! It's kind of difficult to tell. Some of these flip over, some of them don't. Ooh, that's kind of a drag. So I guess we can just test while we're doing this every single piece here. Morph UV. Or you know what? I might not even care that much. I'm just going for the look. And honestly, once I get the materials and stuff on there, I'm not really going to be overly concerned. So just really quickly, just going through here. Yoink. I guess I can do a slightly better job than that. Yoink. And yoink. Yoink. Wrong way. And here. Sorry, I know this is super duper exciting. This is where I need like a hip hop remix behind me so you guys can have a little dance party while I have the most boring live stream in the history of ZBrush. You have to listen to me breathe. Okay, so unmorph my UVs. And there we go. So now we have this. He's all fluffy. And we can also, when we go to bend him, we can kind of play that up here. And if you missed any, just go back to your extractor brush and just kind of go through, and no big deal. And depending on the look you're going for, this makes him kind of look like it's very, very fine material. It's not very, it's actually larger than I would have anticipated. That's okay. And then you can go through here and you can kind of punch up any areas that need to match up a little bit better, or especially places where you know, your eye is going to be. You can go through here and you can kind of sell it a little bit smooth, stronger. Let's go ahead and crank that up since we're working at higher resolutions now. And you can always drop it down in resolution as well. And there's all sorts of cloth sculpting you could do, but I think this will work fine. I think. And then through here, like over the shoulder here, let's maybe, instead of having these, that doesn't make a lot of sense, having those kind of pull. So we can go through here and just kind of, again, selling the idea. There we go. Sorry, I'm getting a little... And this kind of thing where I wish I'd go back into like Baumgartner restorations and do a little voiceover, a little ASMR, and make this not so painful to sit through. And I did put a seam down the middle where I don't have stitches, but you know what? I'll let you know a secret. It's called a production secret. Secrets of the production artists. Nobody's probably going to notice that back down there. Step 1, be lazy. Step 2, stop caring. Step 3, go home on time. And that's a half-truth. I don't really mean that, but in some instances, it doesn't really behoove you to fix some things. Pick and choose your battles. If it's between you doing like a Pry 3 bug fix or going through and actually making cool new content, and I'm speaking video games here. If you're going to have a movie and the camera's going to go right here, obviously fix that. Same thing in games. If that's a hero piece where people are going to notice it. But if this is a background character, cannon fodder, you're just going to go and shoot it up and it's going to fall over. Again, pick and choose your battles. And it's more about creating more newer, better, compelling content than going through and doing stupid bug fixes that only a developer or an art director is going to obsess about. And believe me, they will. They are the worst. And by that I mean art directors and game developers. You're both cut from the same cloth. The only people you guys try to impress, and it always astounds me, rarely is their audience the actual people who play the games. Their audience is their art reviews, which is the dumbest thing in the history of ever. Always, your concern is your audience, not the person with 25 years of art direction experience. It's the person playing the game, and if the person playing the game is going, oh wow, all those stitches match up, but unfortunately there's only one shark in our game and it's really boring, then you're a dumb art director and you are a dumb game designer. Of course, ideally you would have your cake and eat it too, where you would be like, okay, yeah, all the stitches match up, and there's a plethora of sharks, and it's amazing gameplay, but if you have to pick one, don't pick making the wrinkles perfect. Pick having cool, compelling, fun content. Okay, so we have our shark here. Oops, I guess I could have made that white. And it's all stitched up. And I think we're about where we want to be. Hold down Shift. Go and turn this back on. And we got, let's go back to Skin Shader 4. And maybe we'll play around with this. So let's go in here to File. Save as. Oh, there's another thing you can do. Well, let's go ahead and save this too. Streaming, new folder. So now we've got this, and we want to, other cool stuff you can do. Now this is all polypainted on here. You could transfer this to a texture map if you go down here to your texture map and you say, I want to work at a 2048 and then make a new texture based on my Polypaint. There you go. You can clone this off and export that out. No problemo. However, we can also go in here to our Polypaint and we can say adjust colors. So if you ever wanted to go through here and like do a hue shift, you can actually mask off different polygroups here, so we'll hit cancel. We can say Control Shift, isolate this, mask it, invert that mask, and then we can go in here and adjust colors. So if you're ever like, you know what, I wish this was a little more red to kind of match our whatever, you can just hue shift that over into something more appropriate. And then also, like, if the saturation's too much, and then the intensity, you can hit OK. Now you've got that result, or you can just undo it. So I just wanted to shout that out. So let's see, render, external renderer, Keyshot, sure. I'll throw that over. And then since we're in Keyshot, we can do GPU and CPU rendering. Honestly, I don't feel like caching right now, so we'll just go ahead and do our CPU. We got 32 cores to play with. Let's go to 97%. I think that'll be fine. So very, very, I like using that. You know what? And every single time I come in here, preferences, hotkeys, yes, use Maya. Thank you. Okay, so we got our shark here. We don't need our floor, so we can go in here to environment. We can turn off our ground shadows. I don't know that we have a real good environment for just underwater. Maybe if we had an over the clouds. Yeah, that's maybe this one. I don't know. So we can go through here and we can say, let's. I might need to do a search for it. There's probably a nice underwater one out there. We'll go color and we'll do like a blue. We can probably do even a gradient ramp if we really wanted to. Let's see if I can figure that out. Color, maybe not. We can do a backplate image where I do a gradient ramp, or I can just do that in Photoshop later. Anything else we want to do? Let's see if there is a, I'm just going to do material. Hard, shiny black plastic onto our, I just want to do our eyeballs. Scene. Did it not really come in separated? Really? Really? Send it back over. We can also just render this in ZBrush as well. It's not impossible. School bro, can you make scales through surface noise? Yes, you can. Surface noise, you could just bring in an alpha, and you can make scale that way. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly caused that blink out crash. I don't think it was a CPU, maybe. Core, probably not. A lot of these techniques I'm doing here aren't core friendly. Let me do this. Let me do, I don't know why it doesn't want to separate out. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I didn't think auto merge was going to be that particular. Turn off auto merge. There we go. Hard, shiny black plastic. And then for our, let's just go in here. Let's do, drag this onto these threads here. And then under materials here. And then let's just do white on the body. No, let's just switch. Let's do this. Let's go into scene here. I'm going to select the body. We're going to go over here to our, because I just want to have a little bit more control over that. We're going to go into materials. Select objects with material. Yeah. Material graph. So in here, we're going to double click this. So it's upgrade to new node. And then now we can go over here to our matte cap and we can change that brightness so it's not quite so dull. And then here's all fine. And then same thing with this one. This one we're just going to go in here to wait. like so. And then this could be your render. You could just render this out. Of course, you could do the exact same thing. Let's do this. Let's go to Create, Add Geometry, Plane. We're going to go in here to Area Light. We'll say OK. Here. And then underneath those material properties, we can say change this to watts. Turn on scale. And we could probably put even a texture in here that would be like a little gobo that would maybe have some caustics type ding. Or, you know what? I wonder. Ooh, let's try this. Okay, so we got a light here, and it's, boy, is it ever way too powerful. So we can kind of turn that down a bit. And honestly, for our material here, I'm going to go back to our material graph. I'm going to take this. Originally, I had it super duper bright, but I kind of like it a little duller. Let's just change that back to 1. Because now we can go into our environment map and we can drop that brightness down. So really I want most of my scene lighting, like some of my reflections can come from this, that's fine. But I want most of my scene lighting to come from the plane here. And this hard shiny plastic, we can dump that roughness up a bit. So it's going to be more fabric-y. So now we have our plane lighting here, but I wonder if we go into scene here and we duplicate this off, and we scale this out, and we say water. And then we go in here to lighting, and we turn on this so we have some caustics. I'm trying to see if we can't force a little watery look here. Let's go in here to our scene. I wonder. Let's say OK. Move part. And then on here, let's see, transparency distance. Let's set that up to sorry, never done this before. Just trying some. Okay, I guess we're kind of getting it. Let's see if we go into and then this hard shiny plastic, we're going to turn that roughness way up as well. Although I wonder if it wouldn't behoove me just to make everything a little bit shiny like it's wet. Now I'm second guessing myself. Let's take this one here and let's say specular up. And specular transmission, I guess we don't need to worry about roughness. It would be nicer to have a little bit of noise through there probably. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something like that. But you can kind of start, you know what, and maybe we even need a floor plane. Hold on. Okay, and then you know what? Let's go back to our environment. We'll turn on that ground shadows again. But I do want to move this down, so I'm going to go into scene here. We're going to say move. I don't want it right on the ground, but close. Liquid. Trying to see which one gives me the Let's go ahead in the material here. Be-do-dee-do-dee. Let's take this light and we'll make it blue. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, too much fun. Cool, my day's going good. Is anyone using Butterbox anymore? Just curious because I feel like it's phasing it out. Never use it anymore. Yeah. People will go in there. I think it's more of a. Mostly I see it now used as a texturing tool, but of course you can sculpt in it. I don't, but I suppose you could. Sharks Laser B1 says yes, I could do that. Making low poly sculptures doing this as a base. We did both. We did. You could use this as actually game res and high res if you wanted. What's the size of your model? When you start using Dynamesh, I just did Unify to make it the same like ZBrush's base scale. Is there a way to make a symmetrical slice? No, well, you can slice right through the side, snapping to the side view and do it, but you're going to have to do a mirror and weld across the symmetry, geometry, modify, topology, mirror and weld. Yes, thank you, Akash. You got it. If you don't want the full model symmetrical, yeah, slice isn't a mirrored thing, so you'd have to, I'm not sure. Cool. And if I miss anything, I'm sorry. I gotta head out. But cool. So is a quad remesher and ZRemesher have any different in the result? I use it and I use quad mesher and Houdini. I have actually more available control in ZBrush because in ZRemesh and ZBrush you have. I mean, you have some of the same control, but it's like so much easier in ZBrush just to go through here and do keep groups, freeze groups, creases, detect edges, half same, adaptive, use Polypaint, use color density. You can do that externally or in a third party. It's just a royal pain compared to ZBrush. ZBrush has it all built in, so I get much better results much faster in ZBrush than I do in any other third party using quad mesher. Hey, cool. Portfolio review. I could. I don't know that that would be. I tend to be. It kind of depends on like what. Oh, one good resource I have. Well, a resource that I have is if you go to my my profile here, you go to blog. In here at the very bottom, there's a how do you break into the industry that goes in a lot of portfolio and website stuff. So that might. Yes, this is the 32 core Threadripper here. 3970X. Man, this thing's been a beast. If you go to my YouTube channel, it's been rock solid underneath Workstation. And not just the new Threadripper. This is the PCIe 4, and it's got the NVMe Gen 4 drives as well. It's got the 3600 RAM. All of this stuff has made it very, very. It's actually fun to. Oops, no, we don't want to start. It's hard going. And you know what? It's hard going to work and using their workstations because, boy, do they not really compare. Yeah, retopologizing. I just use ZRemeshed like we did. When you started working in the industry, how old were you and what were your skill level like? Pretty low. If you want to go back through memory lane with me, I have stuff from college in here. So this is all 2D artwork I did in college. And then like this stuff here, I think my very first ZBrush sculpt is in here, or one of my very first. Yeah, this one. I did this at EA Tiburon while I was working at. Yeah, this is some very old sculpts. Yeah, this is my old playlist. Like these are all pre-Sony, so this is my skill level way back then. Do you need more in the bounce lighting? Yeah, maybe. I'll check that out. That might help a little bit, actually. Index refraction between a cloth and water, you get very little specular highlighting. True. lots of fast shader. How can I remove that? In the material tab, that I'm not sure about. And then retopologizing, you could do Z spheres, Z-sphere retopology. I tend to just do ZRemesher. This gave me, like on this part here, gave me just fine geometry, and it took about 2 minutes. Won't say yes to ZRemeshed project. Yeah, well, I don't have to get a job at those companies. I get to do whatever I want. And that's how I choose to do it. Now, if you're going to do this for real, like I'm going to do the perfect animatable mesh, then you have to go through and you have to, every single program has topology tools. You can use ZBrush. Like I said, you can use ZRemeshed to start with and then take that into Z-sphere retopology and clean it up. You can use Maya Quadra, Blender topology tools, Modo topology tools, Max topology tools. They can all retopologize. Topo Gun, 3D Coat, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has their favorite. Everybody's a fanboy of something. They all do the exact same thing. Have fun retopologizing while I hit ZRemesh and still have a job. That's my one thing I get out of 15 years in the industry is I don't have to play by the rules. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up. I'm gonna head out, and I'll go ahead and post this on my YouTube channel. You can go to Pixologic if you want to go back through the backlog of these videos. You got two places. You can go over here to the ZBrush Workshop, my channel on Pixologic's channel. You can check that out, or on my YouTube channel here, live stream full episodes playlist. You can go back through and just have fun listening to me breathe and do ZBrushy type stuff. We also got some other cool stuff in here. Houdini and Fusion 360 on my channel. We might, I don't know, push this through Houdini or something, have a little bit of fun with that. But anyway, thanks everybody, and catch y'all on the flip side. Hold on. Okay.